Today's episode is brought to you by Checkfront, the booking platform trusted by over 5,000 tour and activity operators around the world. You can start your own free 21-day trial over at checkfront.com.
Welcome to the Tourpreneur podcast. Travel industry veteran Shane Whaley will take you on a journey with fellow tourpreneurs, sharing their tips, ideas, insights, and success stories to inspire you to make your tour business the best it can be. And now, please welcome your host, Shane.
And welcome to Tourpreneur at Arrival, presented by Checkfront. Today we're joined by David Naczycz of Urban Adventures NYC. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Fantastic. I'm really happy to get to talk to you.
Yeah.
So I was looking at the website earlier on. You have at least 6 tours, right?
Yeah, actually we've cut back.
Okay.
Because we were up to 12.
Right.
We got a little excited.
Yeah.
And decided to scale back a little bit. But I think we're running 7 right now, like total public tours.
Yeah.
In New York, yeah.
So you have the public tours and then custom tours.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. We do private versions of the public tours.
Right.
And then we'll do a custom build tour.
Sure.
Bespoke. Yeah.
And what's your most popular tour?
Our best seller in New York is our Tenements, Tales, and Taste tour, which is also my favorite tour. I hate saying that because people always ask me that.
Yeah.
Like, what's your favorite tour? And I'm like, they're like my children. I don't know.
Yeah.
They're all my favorite tour. But the Tenements was our first tour when we joined Urban Adventures, and it's a great food tour about the Lower East Side. But the thing I love about it is the story is so great. It is the story of America.
Yeah.
And through food. It's unfortunately become even more relevant in these times, but
Sure.
It's such an important story, and I think it's a story everyone needs to hear. So
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I was also very happy to see you had a dog-friendly brewery tour, a beer
that's
tour.
our latest. Yeah, we had a brewery tour for a while, and then we were just like, let's make this one for dogs, because we had run a few. We called them pup crawls.
Right. Nice.
Yeah, because in New York, the health code laws, you can't bring a dog into a restaurant.
Yeah.
Or any place serving food, but the breweries are an exception.
Yeah.
Like you can bring dogs into the breweries because they don't have kitchens and it's not a health code violation. So they're just really great about that. And so many of us have dogs and love taking dogs to breweries.
Yeah.
So we came up with I had a guide who was very much into animal rights and dogs, and she even had her own business, like developing a cafe where people could take their pets.
Oh, wow.
So she built this pup crawl for us.
Yes.
And we did it as a charity event a few times. And people loved it so much. We're like, why don't we just turn our everyday brewery tour into a dog-friendly brewery tour? Because it is. And we just weren't advertising it that way.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Great. No, I did like seeing that. So for our listeners who aren't familiar with Urban Adventures, can you share a little bit more about what Urban Adventures is?
Yeah. So Urban Adventures is a global company. It's a subsidiary of Intrepid Group. But it operates a bit like a franchise.
Yes.
So it's not technically a franchise, it's a license, but independent operators like myself in cities all over the world can get there's one license per city. So you get the license to operate Urban Adventures tours in that city, and then you can operate tours as Urban Adventures. And then the reason you would want to do that is Urban Adventures generates sales for you through their own efforts, through their own global website and their own relationships. So you're getting sales sent into you by the global parent. But then they also provide a network. We get together a few times a year.
Yes.
It's a little bit like Arrival in that I get to have this network of tour operators that I can lean on for advice and support. And then on top of that, they have been in this business, so I'm learning stuff from them and other opportunities. One of the opportunities I've taken advantage of is to open up additional urban adventure cities. So, we looked at the available licenses and have begun acquiring these other cities. And it was a way to expand that was much more economical and efficient than just creating my own brand and trying to build an expansion company off of that.
So I know these are short 10-minute interviews,
Sure.
so we haven't got time to go into everything about it, but we have a lot of people who listen to Tourpreneur who are what I call tourpreneurs in waiting. They really want to launch a tour. They're nervous, understanding there's a lot of risk. Why do you think it'd be worth some of our listeners taking a look at Urban Adventures?
I think Urban Adventures is an amazing model. I mean, so I think we live in a time in this industry where being a small, local, independent tour operator is a tough road.
Yes.
And there are all these global, large companies moving into this industry, and you're not going to have the cloud or the influence to make yourself visible within that marketplace.
Yeah.
So by being part of ultimately a really big company like Intrepid, we have partnerships with cruise lines, with hotel groups,
And they do all that for you.
with the New York Times,
Yeah.
and that comes from the global influence of urban adventures,
Yeah.
and the fact that we're all working collectively. So, to me, it's a way to supercharge growing a tour business, and I still own my tour business. It's not like I don't own it,
Right.
So I'm still an entrepreneur.
Yes.
So, yeah.
And do they do most of the marketing for you then on the digital side, or do you still have...
So I still have a local site.
Right.
So I'm still doing local marketing, both physical and digital.
Okay, yeah.
And then they handle sort of the big global fish.
So they'll work with the OTAs and people like
they
that.
They do with TripAdvisor, Get Your Guide, all
Yeah.
those big players that are global. And then they have their own global website that draws traffic. And then I have my local website and my own local distribution. So
when I go to nycurbanadventures.com, that's your
me.
site.
That is my local site.
Our biggest win we felt with CheckFront is customers being able to book online and not have to make that phone call to us, and they can just navigate our website, go through your interface, and just book directly with us.
Once we get into it and once they see all the system can do, it's quite funny because you kind of see a world open behind them before them, and they're like, oh my god! And I can send emails, and I can manage how many people come, and I can check them in.
I'd recommend using CheckFront because it's simple, it's straightforward, it's easy to use, and most importantly, there are never any problems.
And in terms of your distribution mix, how does that look?
That's what we started to work on quite heavily because we were doing extremely well with all of the OTAs.
Yes.
Through 2018, I had grown 100% year over year. And then 2019 happened, and the wind went out of the sails for some reason, particularly with TripAdvisor Viator. So I was overly dependent on OTAs for our sales. I mean, we had a lot of local sales. We had other distribution, but realized that OTAs had sort of crept up to where they were 50, 60% of my business. And I was fine with that until this year happened. And now I'm not fine with it anymore.
Yeah.
So now I'm looking to diversify both in product and in distribution.
So the warning here, the tip from David is not to put all your eggs in one basket,
Do not
correct?
do that. Yeah.
Why do you think it dipped?
Honestly, one of the advantages of being with Urban Adventures before was a technology advantage.
Yes.
Because Urban Adventures was linked API
Right.
to Viator 3 years ago. And so we just had an advantage on those platforms against other suppliers. And those platforms didn't yet have so many suppliers. But with the influx of investment and the goals that these companies now have, their objective is to sell the most tickets and capture the most users, which means they also have to have the most suppliers.
Yes.
So all of a sudden, the competition shot up, the technology advantage was diminished, and the result was we didn't see the growth this year that we had seen in previous years. Yeah.
What would you say is the best thing that's happened to you in the tour business since you started?
Other than getting in the tour business?
Yeah.
Okay. Every day I get to do, I started in this business because I love showing people around.
Yeah.
I just did it. My friends were actually sick of it.
Yeah.
You should get someone to pay you to do this, right? So, I get to do the thing they say, that dream thing. You get to do what you just like to do.
Yeah.
Right? So I get to do that every day. We do tours about food and drink. Every day I do that. I'm in the travel industry, which is definitely one of the most fun industries there are.
Without a doubt.
Yeah. So, to me, that's the best thing that's ever happened. The other best thing is just joining Urban Adventures and the people I've gotten to work with, the relationships I have, is friendships.
Yeah.
It's been great.
Yeah. What is one of the resources, tools, or apps that you use the most often to manage your business?
We use Fair Harbor for local ticketing, though Urban Adventures has another platform globally that they could do ticketing on.
Right.
So we sort of balance those. I would say that one is probably the most key. Beyond that, the Google Suite, G Suite, we use that for just about everything. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
What words of wisdom do you have for other tour operators who are listening into the show today?
I don't think I have any words of wisdom. I always question if I have actual words of wisdom. So with that caveat, I will offer some up. But
yes.
One of the things I'm most passionate about is sustainable travel. Mm-hmm. It's one of the reasons I got into this business and one of the reasons I joined Urban Adventures was because the shared value they had with sustainable travel. And so I look at the state of our travel industry as a world and as a nation, and what I see isn't that great. To me, we're not serving our customers well, we're not serving our communities well, and we're not serving the earth very well. Mm-hmm. And I would say that of the parts of the travel industry, that tour operators are the least offensive part. Because, mostly we're doing small groups, we're local, we're very focused on preserving the environment we're working in. So, most of the big offenders are the big corporations, the cruise lines, the airlines, and all these other people who don't care that much about it.
Yes.
But I do think it's part of the role of the tour guide that we have to remember that our role is to guide people on how to visit a place. And part of how to visit a place is how to leave that place as good or better than you found it.
Yeah.
So I think we place that responsibility too often on the traveler, and I've always felt the responsibility lies with the host, because we're the ones that know how to live in these places, and how not to treat them. So I think that needs to always be part of our trips. We always need to be teaching people how to respect the destination.
Well, I'd love to invite you back on the show so we could tackle some of these, because we've only got 10 minutes today.
Sure.
But these are really important questions. Where can people find your website?
NYCUrbanAdventures.com.
Fantastic.
Great. And hope to see you guys soon.
Thanks for listening to the Tourpreneur podcast. Be sure to visit tourpreneur.com to join the conversation and access the show notes, including links to the resources mentioned on today's episode. This is Tourpreneur.